So with the really functional bioactives and fiber that we can find in grape pomace, we can make sure that the microbiome is healthy and thriving. So it's pushing or creating a profile, composition, microbial composition that is very health promoting. That translates to the function of this microbiome. So what do we consider as a health promoting microbiome? Is a microbiome that is very good in producing short chain fatty acids, for example. So that's, which are key factors in multiple pathways in the host. So this is one example of the importance or the potential of grape pomace.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Poultry Nutrition Blackbelt. I'm your host Pratima Adhikari from Mississippi State University. Today, with regards to providing you latest and greatest research in this episode, we have Dr. Elad Tako from Cornell University. Dr. Tako, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words and introduction, and thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited. I can introduce myself, Elad Tako. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Food Science and Technology at Cornell University. But by training, all of my degrees are actually animal science, emphasis poultry science. So my PhD focused on poultry. Part of it was the development of the intra-amniotic administration method, which basically methods that allow us to start and feed the embryo. So we get like a more resilient hatchling. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, that's an excellent introduction and your background at the Cornell University. And in fact, it was nice to meet you last year in a PSA meeting. I remember the meeting for the first time. That was excellent. Now this is great. So today we're going to learn about grape pomace, right? So I know your lab has been working with some grape pomace, and I really want you to share, like the regards to publication or even like what you have found, what you have reported in the scholarly activities. Like, what can you share something about this grape pomace, and why did you decide to study this?
Yeah, these are all great questions. So we started the journey with grape pomace about almost 6 years ago. And the initial question that I asked as a food scientist, nutritionist was, how can we explain the French paradox? The French paradox is a concept that emerged during the 1990s, which basically said that despite the high fat dietary consumption, we're not seeing a lot of cardiovascular disease, and again, in populations that consume red wine or grape products, and specifically in France. And I was really curious to gain a deeper understanding as far why we're seeing this. And we know it's been known for a while that polyphenols are the immediate suspect. But what is it about polyphenols, and how do they communicate with the gastrointestinal tract? How do they communicate with the microbiome? Etc., that can further illustrate or further explain why we're seeing these beneficial effects. So our first study was actually, we started with grape steel beans, which are a type of polyphenols that are found in different grape varieties, and we actually used the embryonic model for that. We introduced the steel beans that are found in grape. We introduced that in the dose response manner to our embryonic model, and we're able to demonstrate its positive effect on multiple factors, anything from intestinal functionality, specifically the brush border membrane, to its architecture, and then of course the microbiome. So this is how we've started. And then why grape pomace? So we are located in upstate New York. We are located in the Finger Lakes, and we have a massive industry here of grape production, wine. In our region, there are over 350 different wineries. We are part of the Concord Grape Belt. We're the second largest region in the world that produces Concord grapes, and these are table grapes and grapes that are used for their juice. So as a result, we process the grapes, and as a result, we are left with a grape pomace, which is about 20%, 20 to 25% of the grape that is left behind. And these are the skins, the stems, the seeds, etc. And currently, not much is done with the grape pomace. It's oftentimes being discarded in landfills, which introduces a significant environmental burden. And we kind of like forget the opportunity here, because they're loaded with different nutrients that we can take advantage of. Of course, polyphenols, but also fiber. And why not to try and find ways to upcycle this as a functional ingredient in different food products that are relevant to human, but of course different animals, including poultry. So since our initial study, we've conducted multiple studies where we've tested the efficacy of grape pomace, dietary grape pomace, its ability to contribute and basically enhance or improve gut function, gut health, microbiome, etc. We've tested different scenarios, anywhere from low-grade inflammation, which is basically kind of like what is mostly common in many poultry, large-scale setups, that we know that low-grade inflammation is something that is very present. And oftentimes it's something that is being addressed by antibiotics. And as an industry, we're trying to shift away, or of course to reduce antibiotics usage, because it basically introduces a risk to the consumer by basically creating resistancy. And based on the research that we had been producing, there is a great promise for pomace to be that functional ingredient that can basically address disease. Of course, nothing is going to be as effective as antibiotics, but there is great promise. So we've tested this most recently in a paper that was published in Nature Biofilms on Microbiomes, where we were able to show the efficacy of grape pomace in the context of low-grade inflammation. But before that, last year, we actually had a publication in the Journal of Poultry Science that we were able to show that we're able to reverse coccidiosis. We induce coccidiosis, and we're able to show that we are able to very much improve the performance, very much able to improve the disease phenotypes that are associated with coccidiosis, including feed conversion ratio. And now we're working on a second paper where we're going to discuss the effect on the microbiome. So again, inducing coccidiosis, treating it, or including dietary grape pomace, and then looking into the effect on the microbiome.
Excellent. Thank you for that detailed description. And, some of the questions that I was trying to ask you, I think you kind of covered. Really, it's a neat thing. And I can see a couple of things in your project, just kind of listening here today in this episode. First thing, you're utilizing these ingredients or the sources that are available in your area locally. That's the number one thing. Awesome, right? We're going to have to learn a lot about that. Every geographical location, and it doesn't matter in US or outside, there's always an opportunity. So you can always then go on and finding those opportunities, detail as you go. The second I also like about, I was trying to look into like antibiotic alternatives. Your research completely fits into that area. And the third one I was thinking is like, a sustainability point of view, like a household waste, as you talk about. So there are some commercial trying to establish themselves a commercial industry in the West Coast. There are some other household wastes that we are maybe utilizing. And I was kind of thinking about, as you're describing about your research, I think your research really fits into those areas, and that's excellent. Thank you for sharing those. One thing I would like to ask now, since we don't have much time, it's a short podcast and we can always continue for the longer version if we need to talk more, is, what exactly, like, okay, you mentioned about maybe it's going to alleviate coccidiosis, maybe it's going to help the gut health, it's going to alleviate this part, but like taking into like maybe it's not a one answer, but maybe XYZ thing. What do you think these key areas that the grape pomace is going to help the bird for their health?
Right. So specifically for the bird, the idea is to basically create the dietary circumstances that will allow the microbiome to thrive. You know that as in humans, the microbiome field, the microbiome space is a key factor. We now consider the microbiome to be, an organ that we need to support, that we need to make sure that it's happy and healthy. So with the really functional bioactives and fiber that we can find in grape pomace, we can make sure that the microbiome is healthy and thriving. So it's pushing or creating a profile, microbial composition that is very health promoting. That translates to the function of this microbiome. So what do we consider as a health promoting microbiome? Is a microbiome that is very good in producing short chain fatty acids, for example. So which are key factors in multiple pathways in the host. So this is one example of the importance or the potential of grape pomace.
Why Genetics turns podcast airtime into brand authority. We don't sell ads, we elevate voices. Curious how far your voice can go to become a reference in the industry and attract more leads? Scan the QR code and discover how we can turn your expertise into unmatched brand authority. Let's transform expertise into influence, starting now.
Excellent, Dr. Tako. Again, thank you so much for coming into our episode today. And I'm very thrilled to share this information to the audience when we broadcast this later on. Okay, thank you again. Is there anything that you want to say before, like what's your next research or anything like that?
Yeah, we're actually having a very exciting collaboration with a major industry partner, and we are going to collaborate with other two universities that are expert in poultry and to basically conduct a robust, significant in size study. So that's coming next.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. Again, in today's episode, we have Dr. Elad Tako from Cornell University. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you maybe in one of those meetings.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.